So 2 weeks ago on Sunday, we announced to our church major change coming up for the church and for us personally, and thought I would share what was happening here, a little bit more of the reasoning, some things that we shared with the church actually behind the scenes after service, as well as some of the reasons why things are changing and where we're going. So we announced 2 weeks ago Sunday that we would be stepping out of the church, stepping down as pastors, effective this summer. Not an exact date because of a variety of reasons, but we're looking more than likely June, July-ish, somewhere in there. And moving out of town at that point, opening up the church. We had actually notified our district about a month ago that we would be doing this, so that way they could start the search for a new pastor to come in. Lots of changes coming up as a result. We had a pretty good idea last fall that this was going to be my wife's last year at her school district. She is a Spanish teacher at a smaller district, and they needed a Spanish teacher at the junior high. She's been full-time at the high school. And rather than invest in a second Spanish teacher, they split her between the high school and the junior high. The principals both love her, but it was assigned to us that the district itself didn't really value her and her position. And the pay is, she could be making a lot more money in other places, but she wanted to stay close so we could effectively minister here. And that kind of signaled to us, besides a loud car driving by, that kind of signaled to us that, maybe this is a sign that her time there is wrapping up, even though she's tenured. Just not a super encouraging, supportive thing from them. We had also known that we have a great interest in other places, in doing some other things. And if you kept up with us, that's probably pretty obvious that we have another passion. Additionally, the church has really struggled this last year and a half, 2 years. COVID really, really hurt the church. Our numbers have been down anyways a little bit because the town itself is shrinking. It has lost close to 15% of its population in the last 5-6 years. So it's down like that. Our attendance has been down, and then when COVID hit and we had to close the doors, it really made it very difficult for us to maintain and sustain. And so our numbers have been low, really low, in the last several months. It just became very clear. It's actually been fairly clear for a while. We have been here 11 years, and the simple truth is we're worn out. And we're kind of at a point where we're not as effective as what they need, as what could be here, as what should be here. So it's pretty clear it's time for a change for us, for the church, for the betterment of the church, and for us to step out. And so, we made the decision that we had actually kind of decided last fall, we were going to see what was going to happen with our trip, but more than likely this summer would be it. And that became pretty clear in November and December. And as we came home, these guys need mufflers. As we came home, though, it definitely solidified. And okay, we need to move forward. We need to make some changes. So we have been talking with the district for a little bit about that, and let them know so they could start the search for somebody new to come in. So we're targeting June, July. Why? Because my wife's school year ends at the end of May. We've got a trip that we've got scheduled literally right after she gets out. I mean, the day after she's out of school, we're on a plane. So we've got that quick little vacation there. And then we wanted to make sure that there was time for a transition, that whoever they bring in can come in. We will need time to pack the house, and trying to do that while she's teaching is not a good thing. We do live in a parsonage. The church owns this. And so whoever comes in as pastor is more than likely going to want to stay here. So we've got to be out to let them come in. I do want to transition, I'm hoping, where we can kind of introduce them to everybody and hand off and make it a little bit smoother that way. We will see how that goes, because that doesn't always happen. Not everybody's comfortable with that. So where are we going? Well, we're looking at Springfield for a few reasons. Branson may actually end up... Branson's in the equation as well. It is a possibility. But we're kind of aiming for Springfield as opposed to Branson because the school districts pay more. My wife is applying for school district jobs. She's got interviews already. We're actually optimistic she will have a job here within the next couple weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks to a month because it's early in the hiring season. But Springfield pays more. On average, they would be between $4,000 and $7,000 a year more than what Branson pays. And Branson would be paying $4,000 to $7,000 a year more than what she's earning right now. So we're looking at a nice boost in pay. But part of that is because we will be having to pay rent, or if we can miraculously get approved for a mortgage and find a place, then we would be paying for a mortgage, neither of which we have to pay right now. Springfield puts us closer to the airport, closer to other churches, closer to other jobs for me, because I will have to pick up a job. Again, our budget right now doesn't have money to pay for a house, and we're going to have to. So I'm going to have to go make some other money besides my YouTube channel. It doesn't make enough for that. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. I don't know what other kind of possibilities I have yet. I may travel and help out churches and preach. I may go part-time staff at another church. I may pick up another job outside the church at, say, a bookstore or something else like that and work part-time. I want it to be 2 or 3 days a week so I have time to travel and a flexibility. We will see how that works. Our greatest concern at this moment, like I said, we know that God is taking us to something new, something different. And even in a year, we're going to be doing something different. We expect my wife to be at her job for a couple years, but I fully expect even what I'll be doing will be changing here in several months. And I don't know that I can share all that yet. But it's going to be exciting when it happens. But our biggest concern is trying to find a place because we don't have savings. The money we earn here doesn't allow for us to save anything. There just isn't anything there. So we've been paycheck to paycheck for the last 11 years. Yeah, fun stuff. And to get a place to live, if it is a rental, you're looking first month, last month, and deposit. When you're not budgeting for anything currently. So that's going to be interesting. My wife has been doing a couple things with her school district where she will get some extra money, but it's going to come out to like a month and a half worth of rent. Maybe. We're hopeful. If you buy a home, the payments are less, but then of course you've got to pay for closing costs and so much money down and stuff like that. So, and of course it's trying to find a place. And of course, doing all that at the same time, she gets paid in June, and then she doesn't get paid again July and August. So we get these 2 months with no pay, and we don't know when she will get paid for the new district. It could be sometime in September, beginning, end, we don't know. And so trying to plan and budget that becomes very interesting and trying to figure out how it's going to work. It's like, what? We don't know. But we do know that things are going to work out. But in the meantime, it is a time of transition. One of the things I've thought about doing is offering myself up to our church denomination for what we call fill-in ministry. A lot of smaller churches can't really afford to pay somebody to come in and cover their church if the pastor takes a week vacation. They just don't have money for that. But that's something that we could do inexpensively. We don't need a lot of money, don't want a lot of money, because I know what it's like to be in that position where your church can't afford to pay for somebody to come. So for me, that would be a privilege. And, hey, if you give me $50, $100, I'm happy. But we will see how that works out. One of the things I do anticipate here is by the end of the year, I do fully expect to be needing to travel on weekends to go visit churches for, let's be honest, I'll be trying to raise funds for what we're hoping to do here in a couple years. And so I will need those. And when you ask a church to put you on staff part-time so that you can not be there because you're visiting other churches, yeah, that doesn't usually work too well. But we will see. I have some possibilities there. I have some possibilities online. The one thing I do know in all of this, there is a lot here at the very end of February that we don't know. A lot's going to be happening in June and July. We don't know what. We don't know how. We don't know what's going to happen. But we do know that our steps are ordered by God, that His word is a light into our path, a lamp unto our feet. I love the promise in Jeremiah, yes, taken a bit out of context, but when he was speaking to the Israelite people when they were in exile, and they thought everything was hopeless and lost, and that God had abandoned them, and God tells them, I know the plans I have for you, plans to help you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future. When all their hope was lost, God's telling them, I haven't given up on you. I have special plans for you, plans to do amazing things. And I very firmly believe that God has a plan for each one of our lives. And I believe that God is going to work out all these details, even though I don't know what they are. So this summer, as my computer chimes, will be a summer of change. It will be a summer that will affect things. I have a part of me that hopes that because I won't be preaching, that I will be able to do more on here once a week, just sermonettes and devotions, as opposed to the sporadic uploads I've done. But we will see how that works out. Because I don't know. I don't know what our future holds yet. But I know who holds the future, and I know who holds my hand. And I know that He is trustworthy and true and good, and that He works all things together for the good of those who love Him. And that's what we're looking forward this year. So there is our changes, why, what, and what we know at this point. We would ask you to please pray for us as we go through this transition. And hey, if you've got possibilities to help us, we'd love to hear too. Thank you so much. Be encouraged. God does have a plan for you. Amen.